Hey all, I'm so excited. Welcome back. We are going to interview Corwin Davidson of Hill Country Wealth Strategies. Corwin does exit planning. Well, what's exit planning? Exit planning is, as he likes to say, thinking of how to sell your company tomorrow by looking at it today. And what we're going to talk about is how you can think through selling your company and really making sure that you're prepared for that. Corwin gives some great advice and really some great nuggets of wisdom and truth, and really thinking through how you can prepare to sell your business no matter how long that you've been in, because you want to think today about tomorrow. And I think that that's some really great advice. So I hope that you enjoy the interview. I'm going to put all of his links in the description below. And guys, when you're done with the video, don't forget to check the links below, because there's also a special assessment that Corwin has asked me to put in there. That is 22 questions, no confidential information, but you get a 12-page report, and Corwin will work with you in a meeting just to kind of talk through some things and really kind of help you start to think through, well, what do you need to do to plan for selling your business. And so don't forget to check that out after the video. The links will be down below. Enjoy the video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. And don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Hey, well, thanks so much, Corwin, for joining me this morning. And I know you are definitely busy. You have a lot of things between golf and work and all that other stuff that you have going. But Corwin, I wanted to take a few moments, and I wanted to kind of learn a little bit more about you. So could you just go ahead and tell our audience who you are, what you do, your blood type, social, no, just tell us a little bit
Yeah, no
about
problem, man.
yourself.
I appreciate you having me on. And my name's Corwin. My company is Hill Country Wealth Strategies, and we are practicing exit planners. I'm from Liberty Hill, Texas. That's actually where I'm at right now, downtown Liberty Hill, and a Texas State Bobcat.
Oh, awesome. Very nice. Cool. So you grew up here in Texas, you grew up in Liberty Hill, and that's where your office is mainly. Tell us a little bit about what you do. So exit planning. So kind of explain a little bit, however much you want, what that is. So really we understand what it is that you do.
Yeah, so exit planning is primarily helping business owners get their business in position through planning, so that will be attractive to a seller, whether that be a third party buyer, private equity sometimes. But a lot of times, we'll find generational transfers. We'll find inside transfers. Selling to business active children, selling to key employees, selling to what do you call those, co-owners. And so but what we're doing is we're making sure that to and through the exit, that nothing can get in the way of the business accomplishing its goals for the owner, because of something the business owner or owners don't control. And then the big thing in exit planning is your business won't be valuable unless the owner is inconsequential to day-to-day operations. And so helping to work on value drivers, increasing value, increasing efficiency. That's how you make a business more valuable. And then, of course, grooming and or recruiting key personnel so that you can, as a business owner, offload ownership responsibilities onto a capable team that's retained to the company to and through the exit. But once you have those things, the business can't get taken away from you because of something you don't control. We're working on the inside of the business. We're working on the business instead of in the business as an owner. And then that opens up the last thing, which is you get to exit on your own terms, how you
That's
want,
awesome.
when you want, for the amount of money that you have to have from the business to ultimately secure life post sale. Yeah.
Cool.
And then the big thing that we add to that actually vast majority of exit planning firms don't do is the personal vision part. So what
Mm.
does life after you sell this business, Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner? What does that look like? How are you going to fill a 40 to 50 hour week? And so making sure that there's directives and an actual plan for not getting bored and hating selling your business.
That's really awesome. I don't think that a lot of, I remember when we first talked, you had mentioned, you need to think of, hey, how am I going to make this exit? No matter where you're at in your business, just starting. in the middle, or even, you're thinking you're at the end. And, a lot of times people don't think of this, but I know that you had mentioned, hey, there is a big problem that business owners, have, or, that you encounter a lot. Can you go ahead and speak to that? What is this big problem?
Yeah, the big problem right now is, quite frankly, the fact that the baby boomers, they represent 25% of the United States population. They own over 50% of the United States business interest.
Wow.
The issue starts there. Then what happened is they made the Gen X generation and some of the millennials, but the Gen X generation is 30% smaller than the millennial generation,
Oh, wow.
and than the boomer generation, and
Oh,
the millennial generation is 20% smaller than the Gen X generation.
oh,
So
wow. Okay.
those two generations after the boomers also, they don't want to work, to death, basically,
Yeah.
to build a business, and they don't have the same characteristics as the boomer generation.
Hmm.
And so what's happening is that all baby boomers are at least 59 years old today. And PricewaterhouseCooper did a survey last year of business owners, 60, 65, and 70, and asked them two questions. The first question was, how long till you want to sell your business or transition your business? And they all said 5 years. They asked the second question, which was, how are you going to sell your business? And the same 85% number said, we're going to sell to a third party. So
Oh,
then we
interesting.
start then we start connecting dots. So we're going to go, all right, well, if baby boomers own, say, 400 business owners a day are exiting, and the generations behind them not only don't want their hard work, buy yourself a job type business, so these buyers in the two generations after the boomers, they're going to be much more selective, and they're going to have a ton of businesses to look at. And so if the market for buying businesses is much smaller than the amount of businesses available, then we get back to that same statistic that we talked about last time we were together, is that 92% of businesses fail and 8%
Wow.
of businesses sell. And so the big problem is that there's nobody to buy these boomer businesses, and they all want to exit at the same time, and they all want to exit in the same way.
Oh,
And the
wow.
metrics don't add up. And
Yeah.
so what we're yelling at the top of the mountain right now is, hey, 45-year-old business owner, 55-year-old business owner, you still have time left. So if there's not going to be a market to buy every single one, actually, if 100 businesses are for sale, only 8 are going to sell, and the other
Oh my
92
gosh. Wow.
are not going to be successful. Even if they try and go
Yeah.
to market, they're not going to be successful. So
Yeah.
what we're yelling is, develop your own successors
Yeah.
years in advance, 5, 8, 10 years before you think you want to, start putting the transaction together and selling the business. Let's make sure it's attractive. Let's make sure that you've developed, actually, that's another really good point, Roger, is if you remove yourself from the business, you create transferable value. And
Mm.
so once you've done that, that makes the business more attractive to third party buyers. But if a third party buyer doesn't show up, you've removed yourself from the business. You've taught this person or team of people who are retained to the business how to operate every aspect of it. Now you've actually created a buyer. If nobody's going to buy it for 10x on the third party private equity side, now you have somebody to sell it to, that's already in the company, and you've developed them. And so that's where we're talking about plan early, because there's only such a market for buying businesses, and the market's getting smaller.
And in that way, also, you're kind of taking almost like a two-pronged approach to where it's like, okay, plan A is I want to, sell it to a third party but then the second thing is like, oh, well, hey, I got this, person who's come along and knows how to do this sort of thing that I could, potentially sell that to. And I think that that's really
Yeah.
smart. I think that that's really smart that you go in thinking of that. You had mentioned earlier that, if there's 100 businesses, only 8 of them will sell and then the other 2 will fail. Do you mean that they will fail in the sense of that they will fail to get sold, or they'll just fail in general?
So the business itself won't fail, but what ends up happening, and what is happening currently right now, is business owners, and this is feedback from all of the business brokers that I'm connected to, but they tell me 99 out of 10, 90% of the business owners that come to me, they're ready to sell now. They're nowhere near prepared.
Hmm.
So without this education, without somebody talking to them and telling them what their options are and really what's going to get in the way, what are the obstacles along this journey to figuring out how to capitalize this business? Because if you get to the sale table and let's say you're 65 years old and you're like, hey, I'm done with this. I've got a decent stash of money over here and we can make it. It would be cool if we could get some money off of the business if somebody will buy it. And so you get to the sale table, you're not willing to continue for another 5 years and develop a seller or just continue for 5 more years, period. Um, and then it's like, all right, well, what's next? I ran out of time. I didn't do
Hmm.
the planning and I don't have enough time left to do it. So that's what I'm talking about. Businesses failing
Okay.
is they
Yeah.
become liquidation value. They become, sell it for 20 grand to somebody if
Oh,
they'll
wow.
buy it. But a lot of times they just die.
Yeah. Yeah. So it almost seems like there's, on the flip side, and this would be another conversation, like there's a market for those that are looking to buy a business, but I feel like that's another conversation. But
Well, hey, and some people do buy themselves jobs.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
I
and
can,
like
I can
that's where
see that,
the smaller level business broker they're
yeah,
selling businesses that aren't, they're not prepared for it, but there are people
right.
out there buying jobs, so you can
Yeah,
hit sometimes.
yeah. So in this process, so you're talking to this. Tell me a little bit, 2 things. One, at what point do you come in, or what would be the ideal point, and what is the ideal? I don't want to say like ideal client, but like ideal time for you to come in, like time wise, as like how long the business has been around. That's I would say how old they are, but I mean, someone can be, age, I guess, doesn't necessarily matter. It's more about the business, how long, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would assume that it's more about how long the business is and how long they want to do that. But kind of walk me through that process of what that kind of looks like for your client or someone who's looking to
Yeah.
exit the business.
So I'm a true believer, and John Werlo says it best. Start with the exit in mind.
Hmm.
Now, in the very beginning, there might not need to have any planning done, like 2 months into owning the business,
Yeah.
or starting one up, particularly.
Yeah.
That's a personal planning conversation, and we can talk about that some other time. But as your business begins to grow, as it starts creating cash flow that your family relies on, as a business owner, then we can start jumping into the concept of protect the household, protect the business. It is now a fundamental, it's now a fundamental measure of the household success of what the business produces in profitability. Once you get to that point, we have to start talking because you have a business that's viable, especially if it's growing. Let's make
Hmm.
sure that we get the protection measures in on the front side so that you don't come back from and it's not a lot that we're working against. The big 2 things are protect against premature death, long-term disability, divorce, loss of license, felony conviction. But a lot of that happens between owners as well.
Oh, okay.
The planning there. And so, but yeah, making sure that, hey, this thing's valuable to my family as a sole owner or both of our families as co-owners. We need to make sure that nothing that we don't control can take this away from us.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's where
So
we start.
So you're starting right when, so as it's becoming viable as, hey, okay, we're starting to bring in some serious or just money, not maybe not
Mhm.
serious money, but hey,
Yeah,
serious enough for them. Okay.
exactly. Yeah, something that we can consider significant that if it were to be lost would create chaos or
Hmm.
more.
Okay.
And so then we've got the conversation started. Then we've started talking about exit planning. So, but for those business owners that are, hey, I'm 45, 55, 65 years old, what we're doing, and that's an always thing. You always want to talk about the exit because the big thing is, even if you're curious of what it could be worth or who could possibly be the buyer, what will help you understand is what all the options are.
Hmm.
And so,
Okay.
but once we get to, we don't have anybody right now that's planning more than 12 years in advance.
Okay. Wow.
And that's a pretty significant amount of time, but
Yeah.
they've got a huge run they want to go.
That's cool.
But the earlier you start, the earlier you finish.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. No, I think that that's really smart because it's like,
Yeah.
like
And
you
so,
mentioned, you're having that runway.
and
Yeah.
And then what we're delivering that really the couple of things that make us unique is we have a platform and a process that allows us to deliver our exit planning in a 90-day run so that we're not
Oh,
taking
wow.
up 6 months or 12 months of a business owner's time with a ton of different meetings trying to put together a plan. No, we develop plan very pointed, 90 days, 5 meetings, it's structured, and then the other thing that we're doing, and we talked about this earlier, is the personal vision part of it, making sure that they understand, hey, this is what the business needs to look like for financial readiness. This is what the business needs to look like for the actual business's transferable value readiness. Um, but most importantly, is the three pillars of personal readiness and having a vision for what happens after you sell.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Can you go maybe a little, you don't have to go like super in depth, give it all away, I guess. But what are the three pillars of personal readiness?
Uh, Activity, purpose, identity.
Okay.
You have to have so, and a lot of business owners, some of them were built that thing up from scratch 40
Yeah.
years ago. It is their identity, it is their purpose, it is what they, it's how they get their exercise.
Yeah.
Um, and so, and so filling up what we've experienced is through this personal vision exercise that we do is that filling up a 40 to 55 hour week for a business owner, depending on their age and desire for engagement, um, like that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Like golf is 4 hours a week, and like it's
Yeah.
really hard to play 18 every day, especially
Yeah.
as you age.
Yeah, I can
Uh,
imagine. Yeah. Oh
yeah.
man.
And so, but we start talking about, what do you want to support? I mean, there's been a couple of guys that told me, Roger, they were like, I'm going to wait till my non-compete's over and I'm going to do it again.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Jeez
yeah,
Louise.
cash out, do it again. I can't do it for
Yeah.
2 years. So help me figure out what to do for 2 years.
Interesting.
Um,
I was gonna
but
ask
I
you
mean,
about that. Does somebody, is that like a thing where that was actually gonna be my next question, but just like somebody, like, hey, built up this company, I'm gonna sell it, I'm gonna do it again, I'm gonna sell it, and do it again, and all that sort of thing.
oh yeah, oh
Do you
yeah.
encounter that?
I encounter that often. I
Oh
also,
wow.
once upon a time, a long time ago, I encountered a missing non-compete on a transaction, and the guy didn't have to wait 2 years to open up the same exact business
Oh
and
man.
compete. He could do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh geez.
yeah, running that wasn't one of the deals we were doing. It's just one of the ones I was privy to
Yeah.
listening to.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
And so it was like, what were the three pillars again? Activity.
activity, identity, and purpose.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And
Awesome.
then at the end, so once we've gotten through the 90 days, we will have delivered this three-part deliverable. And then the most important thing we can do next is put it into action. Paying us a fee for service to put a plan together that was co-created, really. They designed a plan
Yeah.
with us. And
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, and so making sure that we take, top six priorities from the planning engagement and immediately get the appropriate professional and directives together to get the plan moving, get the wheels on the ground immediately.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think one of the things that probably when people think of exit planning or like, oh, I don't want to do that or something like, oh, it's going to take me, a year or, it's going to take me
There's so
all
much
this time
uncertainty.
yeah,
Yeah,
to figure that out. And to hear you say like, hey, in 90 days, 5 meetings, we're going to have a plan ready to go that you can now execute on.
yeah.
I
At
think
the
that that's
100-day
really
mark, we'll
awesome.
already have
Yeah.
the team put together.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome. What in that sense of you're working through these. What has been, I guess, just because I'm curious, what is probably so you have a guy that's you have a person that's doing like 12 years out. What's probably the quickest turnaround, if you will, that you've had to or that you've encountered?
Three. We had
Oh wow.
somebody
Okay.
ask us to do it in 18 months and we
Oh my
declined.
gosh. Yeah.
But
Jeez.
yeah, 3 years. 3 years is a viable time period.
Yeah.
Like you can get stuff done in 3 years, especially if you're motivated.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the
18
three to
months.
5 year mark is what we find the most.
Okay.
And 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 you can develop if you have the right people or you have the resources to go get the right people and insert them and do the planning to make sure that they have no good reason to ever leave your company.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of power in that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that kind of fundamentally shifts how you operate or think of your company and all that. Have you ever had to, so you said, 3 to 5 is a good, and, somebody came, 18 months or whatever. Has anyone ever been like, okay, well, I want it done in this amount of time, but you've been able to help them like realize like, hey, let's take another year out or, to really kind of make sure and then they found even greater success than if they just like jumped into it.
So, and that's the idea for all of it
Okay. Yeah.
is, and it's awesome whenever the people that were the owners that we're working with get it. But we put together this 10-year plan, and he's like, "Hey," I was like, "I give you a piece if you get it done in 5." I was like, "I can't legally do that, but
Yeah.
the idea is
Yeah.
to get it done as quickly as possible." And
Okay. Yeah.
he's and there's a difference between desire. So for this owner that I'm talking about, his number is 5 million. And if
Oh wow.
and if
Okay.
he could get, and that's pre-tax, because we're also doing the work of get money out of the business and put it in a place where it can serve you later in life for retirement and stuff.
Yeah.
But his number's 5 million. He was just like, hey, like if somebody comes up at year 5 and offers that, like that solves all of mine and my family's problems for the rest of time. And he was like, that's what I want from it.
Okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
And so if somebody has a number in mind, obviously you're going to look at, okay, so based on where you're at right now, it's going to take this amount of time to do that. I remember you had one of the things that we had discussed before is you had mentioned, you had talked to a few different business owners and they thought that, okay, their valuation was over here. But after you doing a quick, because you're able to kind of think through that and know exactly what to look at versus what business owners probably think they're able to look at. Can you kind of speak to that, like what business owners think
Absolutely.
that they're looking at versus what actually is realistic of what they need to look for?
Yeah, so there are several ways to value a business. And in my professional opinion, and most attorneys that do valuations, we all like a discounted cash flow valuation. Most owners don't get that. Actually, in my experience, and I'll talk about that one in particular, and this is the last time I ever did book value on a napkin. But we had an owner in North Austin that we were having a beer together, and I asked him, I was like, "What's your company worth?" And he said, "Oh, it's worth just under 7 million, and we think we can get that." And I was like, "Okay, cool. How'd you get to that?" And he was like, "Well, a combination of methods." And immediately, like red flags are going up.
Hmm.
And so I was like, "Hey, like, just give me the skinny real quick." And so did some valuation, did book value on a napkin, and I showed him. I was like, "Oh, your business's book values are around $1.6 million," and he lost it. It was like brand new
Hmm.
information,
Yeah.
probably a little bit of denial in there too.
Yeah.
But then we helped him as a part of our service. We provided we provide local firm
Okay.
discounted cash flow valuations, and so we got one done for him, and I was right. And so what do you do post that? You're like, okay,
Yeah.
shock and awe. I thought I had everything I needed. Now I have a third of
Yeah.
it.
Wow.
Is figure out what's the goal, what are we
Yeah.
trying to accomplish, and based off of testing and modeling the owner's assumptions about what they know about their business, we can stress test it all and tell
Well,
them, hey, this is if we need to get to this point in this amount of time, this is how much it's going to cost, and this is what we need to do.
yeah, that's really awesome. Yeah, that would, man, that would be a shock to think, oh, I have this much, and then someone comes in and it's like, nope, that's not it.
Yeah, yeah.
What
And the
is?
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, so the discounted cash flow valuation does a really great job of identifying and averages on industries, and so you can see in all these different measures inside of your company from how money flow through your company. It's very easy to spot areas to work on that maybe you couldn't see if you hadn't seen a evaluation like that.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And as part of your 90-day process of talking, do you do the valuation beforehand, or is that something that you do during, or how does that work?
So those two are separate, but if
Okay.
we're going to, if we get to the end of it and we're like, hey, we've delivered the plan, and one of the things that's necessary is between these two owners, we need a buy-sell agreement and we need insurance funding for the buy-sell agreement. Those two things both you'll want to have a good valuation on settling disputes between owners with
Right.
binding contracts
Yeah.
like a buy sell agreement, and you
Yeah.
want to make sure you have the right amount of insurance too. And then past that, it's maintenance.
Yeah.
Every year, 18 months. Hey, how much does the business grown from top line to profitability and the rest? And if we need to make adjustments to the insurance and the buy sell agreement because now the company's worth 150% of what it was worth last time,
Oh wow.
we can make those adjustments as
Yeah.
they come along. But a lot of times, what we'll see is they put them together. They never fund them with insurance,
Mm.
and they're always outdated when you need to use them,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that would
or at least
seem to come to the
when we
end.
find
Yeah.
them, they're very
Right.
outdated. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Well, so Corin, so last thing, is there anything else that we didn't discuss that you like, if you're just like, hey, this is something that I really want you to walk away with to, people that are listening, like what is something that you really want them to kind of walk away with, to kind of think through?
Yeah. Business owners, everybody needs to do this. It protects your family, it protects your business, it protects your desires from the beginning with starting that business or buying that business. It protects it all. So if there's anything you want to talk about, make sure you come find us.
Excellent. And speaking of finding you, where can they find? I'm going to put all your links and everything here in the description. But where are some places that they can find you? Website, whatever.
Yeah, hillcountrywealth.com. Office is in downtown Liberty Hill, right across the street from Parker's. Come on in. We're typically always here. And then other than that, on LinkedIn, Corwin Davidson.
Awesome.
But all the typical places. I make myself a very easy person to find.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I'll make sure we'll go ahead and we'll put that in there. And Corin, before we head out, is there anything, what do you do like outside? You've mentioned golf and I know we've talked about it, but what do you do kind of outside of this, wealth or,
Yeah,
exit planning and all that?
everything outside and everything shooting. So competitive golfer, competitive shooter, and then my shared passion, Goose, my Springer Spaniel Goose over here. She loves catching the frisbee. I love throwing it.
Very
We do
nice.
that a few
Awesome.
times a day, and then wife and I, whether it's rivers, lakes, hiking, or going on road trips, that's what we love to do.
That's awesome. That's cool. And you're part
Yeah.
of and you're also, because you were telling me about it, you're part of a golf, a golf
Oh yeah,
league,
Austin
correct?
Golf Association.
That's right.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
tournament league.
That's cool. Very
So
nice.
yeah, we play 6 or 7 tournaments a year. I've only won one of them, but
Awesome.
we're working. Turns out the second one's harder than the first.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, hey, Corin, I really appreciate you taking your time out and letting us know about exit planning. I think you gave us some really great nuggets of wisdom thinking through, especially for business owners of, hey, how do I, think about exiting my business and making sure that I make something off of it and really kind of thinking through that. Because again, I
yeah.
think just like we
Getting the
talked about,
business to the exit.
yeah, and I think that that really changes kind of fundamentally how you approach and continue working on your business. So that's really awesome. I really appreciate your words today. They were really great, and I hope that everybody finds that enjoyable as well. So, Corin, thank you so much for taking your time out today. I hope you have a great afternoon and a great day.
Likewise, sir. I'll see you soon.
All right, I'll see you later.